Okay, so we apologize. We actually have bonus magic for you guys to watch. So it turns out the backup match is available to be watched, and we're going right into
We're going
game
to
three.
game 3. We thought we were ending, but we were wrong.
So we have Jesse Machuzik on colorless Eldrazi Stompy, if you will, playing against
Joe Stempo, who is on what we call the Czech 4-color deck, or what have you. This deck was championed by... Sorry, I got you. This deck was championed by Noah Walker, Oliver Tu, and Peter Socherek, who's a Platinum Pro from the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
This deck was in Europe for a while, and they brought it over to the States, and all 3 of those guys actually played it at GP Louisville. Yeah. I don't know if Peter was there, but the other 2 played at the GP Louisville for sure. This deck is basically the evolution of like the Ben Friedman Delver deck. Like you took Grixis Delver, and then it evolved into like Ben Friedman's 4-color deck.
Yeah.
And then it evolved into taking out the Delvers and adding 4 Baleful Strixes and just being like a grindy 4-color control deck.
Yeah. It's a lot like the vintage transition to Leovold. If you've seen the Tiago Saporito Leovold deck in vintage,
Sure.
It's very similar to that evolution where you're just like, why don't we just play all the colors and all the best cards and just
this deck is super greedy, but it's really good at being fair.
Yeah.
It's really good against other Delver decks because it's just like a half a turn slower.
Yeah.
But it has a better density of like cards that replace themselves and like efficient removal, and it also has like some discard.
Yeah.
Which it's okay to have because generally discard's a bad top deck, but they have flat out card advantage spells in their deck. And here we are in game 3.
Yeah. So Jesse has a relatively underwhelming start on just an Eldrazi Temple. Usually this deck wants to do something like a Chalice on one.
Well, keeping a hand with Eldrazi Temple Go is a hard signal for like turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer.
Yes, which is almost certainly what we're about to see, unless
or
it's just
turn
a
2
Chalice.
Endless One. Maybe he just has...
He might have like a Warping Whale?
Endbringer or something like that. Warping Whale into Endbringer.
Yeah. I would assume he's got to have something, right?
He also just could have Cavern and like double Smasher and just be like, well, I'm going to take the first couple turns off and like...
Yeah.
I don't know if I can beat Wasteland with this hand, but I can beat like a wide range of their other draws.
And so on the other side, we actually see a very interesting sideboard card in Chainer's Edict.
That's Diabolic Edict, but yeah, Chainer's Edict is a sorcery.
Okay, so Diabolic
We're in
Edict
Legacy now. We can play that at instant speed.
Is the one that costs 2 with flashback or costs 2 and it is an instant rather than the one that costs 1 then 5. Mm-hmm.
It's just Vadi Ildal falling down an abyss. I think falling down the side of a pirate ship. I'm not 100% sure though.
Yeah, I'm not super up to date with my flavor. It looks like we're seeing a Baleful Strix being cast, and that will cantrip into...
another
it doesn't
Baleful
look
Strix?
like another land. It actually looked like a blue 1-drop, potentially a Brainstorm.
So I'm curious to see how this game's going to unfold.
Is that a counterspell?
Jesse kept an interesting hand.
Is that an EMA art counterspell?
A counterspell, yep.
Okay, that's an interesting draw. He can cast it.
There are 2 copies of that card in his main deck.
Okay, so we're going to see... so this is one of the...
Endbringer, so we were right.
This is one of the marquee things that Jesse's doing. His deck is actually much heavier on 6s. He actually features multiple copies of Endbringer and Oblivion Sower. He's super big on his 6-drops. Endbringer going to be quite good against this Baleful Strix, but it's not going to untap.
No, Diabolic Edict is great when your threats cost 6 mana and tap you out.
Yes. So Jesse actually even has a main deck Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger we may see this game.
But which we're not seeing with like... This is so you can ignore the name tab. It's actually just 4-color no Delvers.
Yeah.
But that said, if there were Delvers, this game would be closed much more quickly. But Jesse's just kind of moping around a little bit. He's got some 2-for-1s. He's got some removal. You can see he has Leovold and True Name, but I don't think he has any lands to turn on his Death Right at the moment.
Yeah. So Joe doesn't have a way to actually activate this Death Right. But if he ever rips a Wasteland, it's going to be fantastic.
So we're seeing.
So this may be an endless one for 7.
I think it's just Batterskull.
Just jam Batterskull.
Okay, and
just asking him to call with the days, and it doesn't look like he has
it. He's got the decay, so it's not the end of the world again. But Jesse is now.
But Jesse has 7 mana.
Jesse is casting spells. Jesse's doing stuff. So.
Well, Jesse can also conceivably just pick this up and recast it. He's got
next turn
5 mana worth of lands. So this has been a quite interesting game because of the slower development from the 4-color deck. Jesse's gotten to just play lands and say go.
Jesse's got a clock. He's got 3 a turn, and eventually it'll be more. But
so I actually think Joe is the 4-color player.
Yeah, sorry, Joe is a clock. My bad. 2 J names.
Yeah.
Getting my goat.
So we see a True Name Nemesis be cast here. It's
and resolve.
Yep. Yeah, so it's going to be resolving, but it's interesting to note that he didn't care enough about the germ to abrupt decay it. How do you feel about that?
Well, he's just doesn't gain any life right now.
Oh,
the
sure,
true name
because
just
of
breaks
how
the
protection
attack.
works? Yes.
Well,
makes
there's
sense.
no trample, so...
Yeah. So because of how protection works, damage doesn't get dealt.
Yeah, damage doesn't get dealt. But if he were to draw something like Reality Smasher...
All is dust. Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
this is what you call...
I think that's a
Yahtzee.
woof. Oh, but the germ is black, so the germ gets sacrificed as well.
Yeah, but that's okay. We still have
Yeah,
Batterskull.
that was still an insane 3-for-1.
That was a turn.
That was quite powerful. But we do see that he's got a hand chock full of follow-ups in multiple Leovolds as well as another Strix. So this game's far from over.
Tough tension for Joe here is he really wants to get another threat into play, but has left that counterspell down several turns in a row and been punished for it every single time.
Yes.
If I was in Joe's spot, I probably would just go with Strix plus counterspell.
Yeah, because you gotta figure the hand that Jesse kept has got to be unbelievably slow, right? You've seen him cast.
You're
like
not in
3
the
spells.
biggest of rushes here, and if you leave your shields down another turn, you might actually lose this game from Joe's perspective. I think it's get the good mana base. I would fetch the volcanic now.
Yeah. That seems correct. Because that way you can do the exact play that you suggested of Strix leaving up the counterspell, so that you don't get punished by some crazy high mana cost threat.
Yep. So he's still just debating a little bit over what land to fetch, and like with the density of wastelands and stuff that Eldrazi provides, it is a reasonable consideration to make sure you get the right one.
Yeah.
He's gonna go with another Underground Sea, which I like because it's a little bit better than a basic in this spot,
Yeah.
and also I like having as many lands tapped for blue as possible. And furthermore, this allows you to fetch your Volcanic Island at a later date exactly when you need it so that it's untapped.
Yeah, and also not susceptible to being wasted.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it looks like he's taking your exact line.
And he drew a fifth land so that he can deploy Leovold with Counterspell up next turn.
Yes.
And things are looking pretty good right now for
unless Jesse has some crazy threat. He does have the
well,
10-drop
or
Ulamog lurking, and he's now up to 8.
That really overpowered land from Avacyn Restored called Cavern of Souls, which
Cavern
he does
of
have
Souls.
any copies of that in his deck.
I believe the overpowered land in this deck is called Ayavugan.
That was good too.
I would agree that
There's
Cavern's quite
4
strong.
copies of Cavern of Souls in Jesse's deck.
Yes, but this is also just an 8-drop. Oh, it's just another Batterskull.
Another Batterskull.
Did he overtap? Oh, he generated black via the interaction of Urborg and Ancient Tomb.
Yeah, so he assumed there was no daze because there hadn't been one for the first 3 turns, so he
Yeah.
just didn't want to take 2 damage.
Yeah, and I think
Makes a ton of
that's
sense.
reasonable. Yeah. So he's still got 3 or 4 cards in hand, so he's just got to have a ton of chunky leftovers, right?
He's got 2 Leovolds, a couple Decays. He just picked up another Diabolic.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the Eldrazi player.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
still got 3 or 4 in hand.
I mean,
and
if he
hasn't
did
played a
nothing
cheap
on
creature yet.
5 mana, he's probably got something.
Yeah.
Or he did nothing on 2
So
mana.
he's
and 4
been
mana.
peeking at his draw steps like he's looking for something. Okay. So this gives us 5 towards a Smasher, potentially? Right? We haven't yet tapped these Eldrazi temples for their broken mana.
No,
So far,
it's,
they've just been basic
2,
wastes.
4, 6, 7, 8.
Oh,
it's Ulamog.
Is this Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger? Oh, yes. Don't have the Stifle. Come on.
Cast trigger.
Cast Trigger, yeah. Let us get these, and then it's going to get Edicted, but let us get these. Oh, and he draws a card off the Leovold trigger.
Yep.
Oh, 2 card. Leovold's any card you control? Yes. Oh, my God.
It's you or a permanent you control.
Oh.
So if they wasteland you, you get a trigger.
That's insane.
Yep, it's really
So
good.
so if this gets Diabolically Edicted or
He's
Counterspelled,
electing to edict it instead of counterspell it, which makes sense.
Yeah, because you know there may be another Batterskull or a Ratchet Bomb or some random
Are they confused
non-creature.
about timing here? Are they confused about if they can cast it? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, plus Spirit Guide. We're good.
He just has to. They may have not realized he needed to pay 2 life. He may have not written that because he may have thought he could Urborg it rather than needing to tomb for 2. That may be the
Makes
discrepancy.
perfect sense.
So here we see a Brainstorm putting back a land
Jesse's
and
got
then
an
leaving up a
embarrassment
fetch.
of riches here, and I think he can leave up counterspell and commit.
Well, he can also.
threat.
He's also 1 land off of Animate Equip on the Blinkmoth Nexus.
Did he
Wearing a Batterskull.
Oh yeah, he fetched. I thought he forgot to fetch for a second. No, there's the Volcanic Island.
Yeah. So he brainstormed into a fetch land, put back a land, and then fetched it.
Oh yeah, he can just.
He is 1 mana off. Oh, actually, the Ancient Tomb. So the Ancient Tomb generates him up to 5 on the
Yeah,
left.
he
Yeah,
can-
so he could just animate and equip. This
Blink
is gonna
Vault
be
Nexus, yep.
Yeah, this is gonna be a disgusting turn.
And this is just seeing that the power of manlands in the Eldrazi deck is that
Yes.
even when they're flooded, they still have some utility.
Yes. We also could have seen the previous time if he had just had 1 more mana, he could have just animated, like pitched a Spirit Guide and animated to sack into protecting the Ulamog. And that would have been a
I like-
backbreaking way to punish the non-counterspell line.
I think Jesse should use a Wasteland here before he does all this because it shuts off Lightning Bolt.
It's into a Leovold, though, so he gives him
yeah.
a draw. So I think you just... I don't think you want to give him a draw.
Yeah, but you can't get beat that bad by Lightning Bolt. I think you need to...
That's fair.
I don't know for sure.
But so, is there a... Okay, so you want to
Like
Wasteland
you're clearly just going to win the card quality fight at this juncture.
That's fair.
Like you're not going to win the card advantage fight anymore. Like his deck is inherently filled with 2-for-1s.
But you are 10 going to 8. So you do
Yeah.
need to gain this life. I don't think the Lightning... Also, like, are you really leaving in all your Lightning Bolts against Eldrazi? Is that even like
They
a
have
thing
some
that you're
utility,
expecting?
right? They let you can trade up a True Name blocking a Smasher or a Thought Knot. You can do some
Okay.
stuff with it. They also hit like Mimics and like some of the early
Okay.
stuff. They hit Matter Reshaper if they have to.
So this looks like the exact line. Equip, go to attacks.
No Wasteland, right?
Yeah, there's no Wasteland up. He didn't activate the Wasteland. It looks like he just generated black off of the Ancient
Oh,
Tomb.
so sure. A little bit
Because
safer.
I think he found a land this turn. It looks like he found and played a Wasteland as his land drop for the turn.
So he got the hit for 5 in.
Yes. So
Gained
he's
5 life.
Yeah. So now it's 15 to 12, I believe.
Yeah, and this is making Jesse's Abrupt Decay look embarrassingly bad
Yes.
right now. It's Deathrite Shaman and an attack for 3.
Yeah, sure. I'll go to 12. You got it.
It's not the best race for Joe, though.
Yeah, no, he's just going to lose this race. And this is when Jesse just bricks every turn. At some point, Jesse's just going to, like, find an Ayavugan or anything like that and just
It's
play
true,
disgusting
but
monsters.
also Jesse is, like, kind of priced into having to use his mana for this every single turn. So
until he finds something better, though. If
if
ever
Joe
finds
can find the
anything...
Colligan's Command or...
There's a Colligan's Command?
yes, there's
lurking?
one main deck.
Oh, okay.
There's also a Murderous Cut.
Jeez, okay. All of your favorite Grixis cards.
And 2 Lightning Bolts.
You love those cards, right? Mm-hmm. Those are modern playable staples.
There's 1 Toxic Deluge in his sideboard.
A
which
card
is
I
like
wish was
what's
modern
happening
legal.
outside right now.
A card I wish was modern legal is Toxic Deluge. Would make Esper much better. 3 mana Wrath of
Esper.
God.
Who wants to play Esper?
I do. I
He's
love
like
Lingering Souls.
Grixis.
Lingering Souls think twice, man. Gotta get on the hype train.
Play Esper Delver.
Delver's not good.
Flip Delver of Secrets revealing Lingering Souls. All
Delver
right, we got
doesn't
stuff
even-
going on.
Delver doesn't even work.
Ooh, he activate Ayavugan and go get something?
He could just get an endless one. Just like play it on 2 or 3 or whatever, because it's automatically discounted. Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't like the way he's set up that mana to be tapped, though, right? Because he's tapping an Eldrazi Temple. Oh, okay, he's just saying go.
No, he can just tap them as 7 swamps.
Yeah, no. But if you're tutoring for endless one, I like leaving up Eldrazi Temple, not Wasteland, because that way you get it for 4 instead of 3.
I think he's going to tutor up something with a cast trigger.
I think he's going to be tutoring up. So he doesn't. It doesn't look like he has another Ulamog. So I think he's going to be tutoring up either another copy of Endbringer or Oblivion Sower, which is the 5/8 that
I
exiles the
think
top
he
4
tutors
cards.
up Oblivion Sower for sure.
That sounds quite good here. It could also just be Smasher, just like Smash Equip Batterskull.
Yeah.
That's also defensible.
There, he is tutoring
Yeah.
up Smasher, which is bad against the counterspell in Joe's hand.
But if he
doesn't
ever
know
finds
that.
a Cavern of Souls, then he's in good shape. And he's also at 14, so he has a turn to play with his life.
Yeah.
Because you figure you go to 12 and you're at a
Actually,
virtual
he might
7.
be able to cast Smasher, and if it gets countered, equip Nexus. I think he can do that. Yep, he can do that. He has exactly enough mana to do that.
Does he have 2 Ancient Tombs in play? Because that costs...
No.
That's a total of 7 mana, right?
But
Because
you,
you don't
can
get
tap Ayavugan for black.
Yeah, but so you have... Oh, because the Eldrazi Temples cast the Smasher.
Yeah.
And the Smasher base cost is 3. So 2
Yes.
lands cast... This card's so broken. I'm so glad
Smasher
it's gone.
gets cast by Ayavugan and Eldrazi
one
Temple.
Yeah, this is why this card's banned in Modern, folks. This card's way too good.
So he can try and resolve his Smasher.
And then if it fails, just...
If it fails, he
plan
can
B.
wake up and suit up.
Yes. Which will be equally strong. So this game is slowly getting out of reach.
And Joe's priced in here. He has to counter
Yeah,
this.
he's been leaving up this counterspell for so
it's
many
not
times, he
gonna
just
be-
must cast it. Oh, is this
He
a hard
drew a
cast
Force
force?
of Will. That's good.
Okay. He's still going to end up getting nugged by this other, the Manland, though. Or
Yeah,
do you
but
like
then he
saying
can
go
gain
and maybe
too.
tutoring?
No, I like pushing. Oh, okay.
Oh, 1 mana Matter Reshaper. That card's also reasonable at 1 mana.
It's
I have
fine.
been very
he does
fair.
have 2. He also does have 2 Ancient Tombs in play.
Yes. So he can... I mean, the problem is that he tapped the Ayavugan, right? It taps towards his activated ability, so he can't tutor anymore. That was my mistake. That hasn't been a line that's available to him. Because the Eye requires tapping along with 7.
Where did the Blinkmoth Nexus go?
That's a great question.